exposure. It's finna get wild up in here, guys. Okay? We're doing things today. We're going off the grid. Okay? This is probably one of the most important things I've ever done in my life because it needs to be done with absolute precision. So, first of all, fist. Okay, first, let us grab us some Dino Nuggies. Maybe some vegetables. Maybe it's that damn phone. You know, it's really funny that they put a rat trap in here, or a mouse trap in here, but didn't even put anything in it. It's just a mouse trap sitting there with no bait. It's like, but that's what religion does, guys, is it makes you think that animals don't think. You know, and they do. Maybe not like us, but they think in a survival way. And, you know, I'm pretty damn sure a mouse isn't like, maybe if you're lucky. But, you know, it's typically not how it works. A mouse doesn't just run into a mouse trap, you know. There has to be some bait, a reason, you know, maybe the promise of a tasty reward for such a selfish creature. Not selfish by choice, not ad. But look, you know, religion tells you that human beings are like above every other animal. Which is, I mean, I don't know. I've never seen God, so how would I know? Although, you know. In my main belief, the belief I'm kind of maining is that there is one God, but it's not like a God over the earth. It's more like the universe itself is the creation of God. And the earth has nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? It's just part of the universe, which in the grand total of things was the creation. You know. I more so believe in God as the creator of evolution and its natural processes. But that's just my main belief. You know, I'm agnostic, so it doesn't end there, you know. There's more that's possible outside of what I believe. And I might be wrong. I might be 100,000,000% wrong. Alright. Without the brand showing, here we go. It doesn't even matter. It's not like the sponsors. You know I don't have any sponsors. Come. Okay, going with these Tyson Dino Nuggies. Might be a little too much.
For a hungry man like me, perhaps not.
No, it's too much. It'd be like half the bag on the plate there. It's going to be a delicious meal, guys.
It's grubbing time.
Now, put everything back where it goes, because if I don't do it, nobody else is going to. And my sweet, sweet dinosaur nuggets
Will be ruined.
ruined. Ruined? Ruined. A little bit of vegetables to go on the side there. Yeah. Now, in every man's life, there comes a very important decision. Am I going to use the microwave? Or am I going to use the toaster oven? Microwave it.
Okay.
What I could do is air fry it all.
Ah.
Okay, so I didn't really do a tutorial there, but how hard is it to cook Dino Nuggets? You throw them in the microwave or the toaster oven or something. I'm using the air fryer. That's part of the microwave. I have a souped up microwave. You know, it's not mine, but you know, it's still pretty cool. It's like a super microwave. Oh, fuck. Oh, I'm so tired, and I drank a Red Bull and it didn't even work. It kind of did. I'm more awake, but I'm more hungry. So I went to Target, bought some Dino Nuggets and some candy. So, you know, I don't know if you can tell, but I eat a lot of candy. Yeah. Dornach Keebley. Number 1. Yeah. So tired. But I won't be tomorrow. I'm just fucking tired from that job I just got fired from. So tomorrow it'll be back to normal. And then I'll probably find some shit to do. I just want this soreness to go away before I get back to work. Even though it costs me more to wait the time that it takes. I don't care. I'm sore and I'm hurting. I got a fun little gift card from my treatment center today that I used to go to. Makes me so happy. It's good timing too because like I just got fired. So this agate I found the other day, I found this on the train tracks. Can you believe that? Hold on. Let me give you a nice little showcase of this beautiful agate that I found. Agate enjoyers will appreciate this. Oh, whoops. Segment of the video. Let's go ahead and turn on that flash here. Look at that baby. It's so beautiful. It's like a big booger. A big old booger. But this is a quality agate right here, guys. Oh my god, it makes you want to die. It's just so beautiful. Look at that. Oh my god, I found this just the other day. You can kind of see through it right about there. Kind of see into it a little bit. It's not as easy on camera, but with the human eye where you can see like the trillion times as much detail, you can see it through there a little bit. Oh my god, dude. Literally the best agate I found this week. I'm like the only one. Normally I don't just pick up stray agates like from train tracks or from like, you know, used rock. But this one was different, guys. This one was different. Oh my god. Look at that. It looks like it's dripping. Looks like it's got like it looks kind of like a splat. The way it kind of like drips off to the side like that. This is an agate right here. Oh man. Absolutely beautiful. Gorgeous. Oh my god, I'm sorry, I'm just obsessed. I love agates. They're among my favorite rocks there is because they're formed from volcanic activity, which means they're like made from crushing, I think, and pressure or something. I don't know the formation process, but they look sick and they come from a really weird thing. It's so cool. It's like it's like I don't know. I don't know the process, but for some reason, instead of obsidian, you get this beautiful fucking masterpiece of nature. See this? I didn't even use a rock tumbler. A lot of people use rock tumblers, and this could look like a little shinier with a rock tumbler, but I just appreciate it like this because it's honestly like, who needs a fucking rock tumbler? This looks beautiful. Straight from the ass of the earth. You know, it's earth poop. You know. Oh my god, I love agates. That other one I found that was so beautiful is with my dad right now. I gotta get that one back because it's literally the best one, but this one's pretty acceptable. Oh my god, it's so trippy, dude. Oh my god. I fucking love agates. And then I also found this one, which isn't exactly an agate, but it's still a very cool rock nonetheless. That's really trippy. Looks like something you'd see on mushrooms or acid. Like, genuinely. Like, anybody who's tried it will just straight up agree with me because, I mean, look at this shit. Like, this is straight out of a fucking acid trip right here. You know what I mean? Like, straight out of a trip. Come on now. You know what I'm talking about. Look at that. Boom. Beautiful. God, I love rocks, man. I'm a huge rock guy. Because they're so cool, you know? I'm waiting on my Dino Nuggets right now. Finished cooking. Oh, that agate's probably the best find. I gotta walk those train tracks more, dude. I found actually some pretty good stones on there, which tells me that they probably take those stones from a quarry, which gives me even more of a reason to look through them because a quarry is just people doing all the work that you don't have to do by digging into the earth and finding all the good shit, but using it as gravel. So you can just fucking. A lot of people are like, oh, you just grab that out of a gravel pile. Like, no shit. Where do you think that gravel comes from? You know, it comes from like a quarry, which is a deep hole in the earth where they're getting lots of the good shit and they're just crushing it up and using it as gravel for anybody to take. Like, no. You know, you wouldn't go and take like buckets of gravel, but every once in a while, you know, because of the fact that they do that, you'll come across something like this, which is a beautiful agate, you know. I don't know where they get that rock from, but it comes from somewhere where the good shit is because, I mean, this is some good shit, you know? This ain't your average rock, you know? This is an agate right here. Volcanic stone. It's like forged under intense heat and pressure. And for some reason, it just looks like that. It's weird. Makes me wonder why things look the way they do. Got that little Like, it looks like it's dripping, genuinely. It looks like it's, like, dripping out. It's crazy. You know? This one is crazy. It's just, oh my god, I love agates. They're, like, literally just my favorite. I could, like... The thing is, I like finding them myself, because, you know, this is kind of the thing of real life. Like, you know, in Minecraft, you're looking for weapons. In real life, this is what you're looking for right here. These fucking awesome things. I mean, there's weapons in real life, but, you know, this is the real treasure. You know what I mean? Oh my god, I'm gonna die. I'm just gonna tear myself apart right now out of my satisfaction for this beautiful rock. Oh my god, dude. This is probably boring, but I don't care. It's so beautiful. Fucking love agates. But I only collect the good agates. Like, I don't take no mediocre agate. Look at my massive collection in here. Okay. I showed this off before, I think, but I have many agates in here. And this one, which I can't see for some reason, well, because of the fucking wrap, is among the best. It's got little crystals inside. But I use it for this plant bowl so I can grow this little plant here, which is for some reason turned around away from the sun. But, you know who I bet that was? Never mind. I'm not gonna do any name drops, but she lives in the same house with me and comes in my room without asking. You know, but, yeah, that wasn't very good for my plant there. I should probably open that window even. Needs sunlight. Trying to get that plant to grow, but, you know, people just keep coming into my room and changing whatever they want whenever they see it, so it doesn't matter how I have things set up, because it smells like burning. I should probably take those nuggets out of the microwave. Nope. It smells good as fuck, though. It's on air fryer mode. Yeah, I got fired, and it sucked, because, you know, it was my fault. You know, I was working hard. I'm not going to deny that. I was working my ass off, but there was one instance of time where I was caught on a camera moving around on a swivel chair. And it sounds, I said it like it's not that bad, but, you know, from a business perspective, that is that bad, because, you know, any risk to the code of safety is a huge financial risk. You know what I mean? I imagine. And I didn't show up the day before that, so that also probably contributed. But, you know, it just sucked. You know, it sucks to lose your job. You know, even if you know it was because you were being a jackass, but, you know. Yeah, I was literally using it to get from A to B because it was broken and it was stock that probably wasn't going to be used. But I didn't realize they were that tightly wound. I knew they were tightly wound, but I didn't realize that tightly wound. You know, it was a pretty relaxed day. We had a nice day where we weren't, you know, doing too much, but we were still working. But, you know, so it just sucks, you know, it sucks to lose your job, you know, but, you know, you'd be crazy if you think I'm gonna let this weigh me down, you know, it sucks and it kind of makes me feel a little bit depressed, but at the end of the day, there's nothing I can do except for keep on going, keep trying to find a different path, you know. I'm not going to find a job where I'm able to move around in a swivel chair or sit down for 5 minutes, but, you know, I'll find one that where I can just not do that again, I guess. I don't know. Oh my god, it smells so good. I just want to take them out now. Yeah, but the point is, guys, don't dig around. Even, you know, even in the slightest. Don't like, you know what I was doing? I was doing my work. I did good work there, but I was moving from one aisle to another on a swivel chair. And they saw that as goofy, and they told me that would be like if you were a nurse and you were rolling around in a swivel chair. And I was like, oh, okay. You know. And also, don't stick up for yourself either, unless you absolutely know you were unfairly treated, you know? Like, unless you know, not think, know, okay? Because at the end of the day, I didn't really, that I already kind of knew. I'm not, you know, I'm not going to talk back to my boss or anybody, because that would just, I mean, no, that's a horrible idea. I made a song where I mentioned why you shouldn't do that, you know, but at the end of the day, like, it's just, you know, these businesses, they don't want a human being. They want someone to come and do the job, which sounds unfair, but really it's, I also made a song about this and included this part. You're an asset of the company. You're not, you know, you don't represent yourself while you're there. You represent the company, you know? Even though it sounds a little corny, it's just how it is, you know? You represent an employee of the company, and you're working for them, you know? Which, you know, it's early, I'm still learning things, you know? I'm going to grow up, but this is one of those things that happens in the beginning, where you just kind of have to, you know, it's just one of those beginner experiences. Like, you know, I'll probably be talking about this someday when I'm like just talking about how I've gotten fired before. But like, yeah, one time I got fired for rolling around in a swivel chair, you know. But obviously, you know, it sucks. But at least I'm still getting paid. That's why I was there, to get paid. But yeah, no. It sucks. And it's an experience where all I can do is be humbled about it, because that's the only way you learn, you know. Some people would be like, oh, I didn't do anything wrong. It's just a system. It's just a system that's all made for working workers, live to work and work to live. But, you know, you know, you're coming to this company and asking them to work in their warehouse. So it's like, at the end of the day, what they say kind of goes. In this case, I didn't really know, but, you know, I don't know what they were really looking for. Well, I do, but I didn't know that I would get fired for rolling around in a swivel chair, but now I know. Now I know. And let me tell you guys, getting fired sucks. Makes you feel like a piece of shit. But, you know, you're not. Under specific circumstances. No. Under most circumstances, you're not. But under specific circumstances, who knows? But, you know. Sneeze. It's not like your coworkers are gonna, like, you know. Well, first of all, nobody's gonna tell you what to do, because you should already know from their perspective. you know, it's really not the place for somebody who cuts themselves too much slack, you know? Like, I saw this video yesterday about this lady, like, you want me to clean all these dishes? And then she started crying at work. Like, it's not the place for that, you know? That's literally, like, if that's what you're gonna go there and do, you're gonna be done on, like, the first day. Like, you know, it's not a place where you express your humanity. It's more like a place where you go and work, and you're there to make money, you know? Ow! Son of a bitch, that is so hot. It's like 400 degrees, but, you know, I should probably put something to put that down on. It's gonna melt right through that napkin. You know, because I used to be one of those guys who would, like, you know, I used to be one of those fucking people who would be like, I shouldn't even have to work. I'm a human being. I should just be able to, like, be an animal. But that's not, you know, that's just not realistic. You know, I should be able to survive. And I am by getting a job in this world where there are systems for everything, you know? It's like everybody makes that argument. There's not one, well, maybe not everybody, but, you know, everybody who thinks that way makes that argument that I shouldn't have to work. I should just get to stay home and be happy and draw and scribble and pretend like I'm autistic, but no, that's just, okay. No. But, you know, the point is, yeah, no. You go there to work. You go there to get the job done. Because at the end of the day, you know, it's not about you. You know? Luckily, they hired a new band of coworkers there to replace me, like, the day they were gonna fire me, but, you know, like, it's okay, because, you know, it wasn't until after they realized that, you know. But I was like, oh, so that's why those new people were there. You know. Just learning more and more about the workforce. You know, I'm not a work expert, even though I, you know, no matter how much I make it seem like that. You know, I'm about the farthest thing from a job expert right now in your world, you know. Right now I'm making my way through, and I'm telling you what I'm learning. And that's, and it was today that I learned you gotta be careful, because they're watching, and if they see you doing something the way they don't want you to do it, you'll be lucky if you get a warning, you know? Because I guess there's this idea of, you know, of what a, like, of what a purely adult situation looks like, which I don't understand, you know? Like, from my perspective, I was doing good work, and I was on a swivel chair, you know? And it just became like a place where I go to work, you know? But, you know, but there's this feeling that they want you to feel. They want you to feel humbled and even embarrassed, you know? They want you to feel shame sometimes, depending on who, but some of them want you to feel a little bit of shame, you know? You know, if you don't feel like you can keep it serious, like, or if you don't feel like you can keep it dead serious, then it's not for you. But I feel like I can keep it dead serious. I just felt like I just didn't know to do that, you know? Like, I felt like I could at least be a little bit human, but no, you know, no. You know. You can talk, though. There's that. You can talk to your coworkers, you can talk to anybody, you know, and to some extent, I guess, just because I wasn't allowed to roll around in a swivel chair doesn't mean it's not allowing you to be human. But I don't know, guys. I'm not there yet, you know? These Dino Nuggets are excellent. Crispy and wonderful. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the world who, if they got fired for what I got fired for, they wouldn't get it. It would be like, at first, actually, that's kind of where I was like, because I was like, wow, if I can't work at a place where I can do so much as roll around in a swivel chair, I don't want to work there. But then I thought about it. And I realized to people who don't, like, to people who just need to think financially, you know, I don't see it that way at all. I see it like, oh, this clown is fucking around on my time? I don't fucking think so, you know? Who the fuck does this guy think he is, you know? He's in a goddamn warehouse. Not a playground. And even though I didn't really see it as a playground either, that's just what they're gonna say. You know? Even if you're like, oh, I was just casually moving from one area to another. Where's the logic? You know, that doesn't matter. There's no point in putting up that argument. Because that's your pride and your ego speaking. You don't like that you got in trouble. You know? You don't want to feel like you deserved it. You want to feel like a victim. You want to feel like you were wronged. But at the end of the day, you just didn't know. I should not have put soy sauce on these vegetables. Worst mistake ever. I'm still gonna eat them. It's not gonna waste them like those dumb fucks last night who wasted that bread. But the thing is, guys, instead of breaking yourself down over it, I'm saying, man, you know, can't even keep it serious. I mean, I've gone through the phases of thought at this point. Like, maybe I'm just not normal, you know? Maybe there's just something wrong with me. In reality, I just thought, oh, I just didn't know, you know? gonna be harder for me to find a decent job. But at the end of the day, that next position is gonna get someone who is more in line with the regulations. You know what they should have? They should have a class for what is considered, you know, what is considered not like workplace behavior. They gave me the do's and don'ts, but like, I don't know, you know, I don't think in black and white. I think in like, well, that's not exactly what it was. With my perspective, I can teach that to myself. Like that lady I posted a short around, people don't have to work. People like that need a class like that, you know? People like that just need, you know, just need to know that it is black and white in the workplace. There is goofing off and there is working, and there is no in between. Believe me, guys, I'm vulnerable. I'm vulnerable to those acts. You know? Oh, the soy sauce is mixing with the ketchup. It doesn't taste good at all. Oh. Oh, fuck it. I paid for these. I paid good money for these. Oh. What have I done? This is the biggest mistake of my life. I feel like Chirag Gupta in the Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie. He'd be like, put the soy sauce with the ketchup. I can't do an accent. Or I'm not like, I'm not tuned right now for that, at least. Like, I don't know. I'm not even gonna try. I'm not insecure. Oh. You know. But, you know, there's a thing in life where people really feel like you can't know by yourself. They feel like they need to explain it to you, which is fair. Because you already didn't know to the point where you were fucking around. But, you know, I'm talking about like people who aren't your boss. You know, they feel like they can just come up and tell you who you are and why you did it. And those people, you just gotta ignore them, you know? Because they're never gonna go away. You're never gonna get rid of those people who feel like they, you know, like they know why you did something better than you did it, you know? You know, that's where we come down to confidence. You gotta stay confident in yourself, you know? Even if it sucks being confident in yourself and you'd rather not be, you know? You'd rather just have that background feeling where everybody's right and you're just, there's something wrong with you and you don't even know what it is, you know? But, you know, they know. So just, like, you know, I don't know. You let them tell you exactly why. you know. If you go at it with an unbiased mindset, you can figure that out yourself. You don't need somebody else to tell you. Your bias is your ego and your pride. Well, not maybe less your ego, more so your pride. You know, your ego is basically just your identity. It's just a fundamental piece of your identity. You know, it's your ability to be like, oh, I'm proud of myself for doing something. They're all going at the compost bin. I fucked up big time. And this is just gonna suck for me. Because great, now I'm short again. Now I'm short on what I need. Then there's some people who just can't stop cutting themselves the slack, you know? It's like, you know, if I were a shittier type of person, I'd be like fucking like, well, they just fired me because, you know, they're just fascists. They fired me because they're fascists, and, you know, they're not going to let me do whatever I want all the time, so I'm just going to get all mad and say it's for reasons other than actually what it was. Once again, you know what I'm talking about, that clown-ass bitch. You know? Looks absolutely ridiculous. Because, you know, the meme is only one side of it, you know? It just shows you, you know, an example of a person who's annoying and kind of funny. There's so much more to it than that. It's their entire ideology and the way they accept a good humbling from somebody, you know? Like, they can't be humbled, you know? Because they're always right, and everybody else is always wrong. Me, I'm wrong about 90% of the time, but I'm doing my best, you know? And that's what counts. And my best needs to change right now. My best needs to change, and it needs to be better, and it needs to be, you know, I need to be a better addition to the workforce. And I'm not there yet. Still, it's just taught me that I'm still a little bit immature, you know? And part of me thinks I'm 20, you know? Which is a little bit fair, but at the end of the day, you know, if this type of thing happens again, then that's even more of a problem. That tells me that I don't really learn from my negative experiences and that I think I'm above whatever happened, which, you know, that's bad. You don't want that. You don't want to feel like you're above regulations, because that's just setting yourself up for failure right there. Like, that's like building a brick wall, and then, like, on the most important part of the wall where there should be a solid brick, you put in a cracked brick that's gonna break in a few days, and then the whole wall comes down, you know? It's like using a cracked cornerstone, you know? It's like using a broken chair leg for the fourth leg. Just, that's not, you know, it's like being really obese and sitting in a tiny little chair. You know, if you're obese, you should probably sit in a bigger chair. That was less of a good, that was more of a joke. That was less of a good analogy. I made my point before that, but, you know. my dad told me I kind of screwed the pooch on this one. I fucked it up. I fucked up. And I fully admit that. You know, I'm capable of fucking up, and I did. And it sucked. Stay humble. You know, when my coworker got angry and he was complaining about my other coworker, I was like, just stay humble, man. Just stay humble. We're here for the money. I wasn't fully humble. But it's, you know, stay humble. And don't feel like you are better than any regulation. Don't feel like you're better than any rule, you know?